Joining me right now is Dr. Terry Jones. He's a controversial preacher many of you have heard of before, also the founder and president of Stand Up America Now. Dr. Jones, welcome to Houston's Morning News. Nice to have you with us.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Let me ask you this. We're talking about the mosque that may now be built at Ground Zero. Do you feel that this is the Muslim community building a trophy on the site where they killed 3,000 people?
Oh, I think so, definitely. I have no other explanation for the fact that they continue, no matter what the American people say, they continue to persist to do something that is definitely against the will of the people. I think that the mosque and moving the mosque would be a perfect opportunity for Islam and for Muslims to prove that they are, as they claim to be, a religion of peace. This would be actually a perfect opportunity for them to submit to the will of the people. I think just the fact that they continue to persist is definitely a sign that to them this is much more than just a simple mosque, but possibly correct, a victory mosque.
Now, Dr. Jones, you've gotten yourself in a bit of trouble here and there with some of your controversial views, the Quran burning incident and so on and so forth. And, you are certainly not someone that is shy. But let me just ask you this. There's no legal precedent for not building this thing. You said it yourself. It is the will of the people, and I believe it is indeed certainly the will of the people in New York, at least the majority of them. Why don't you think, the Muslim community won't move it somewhere else? I mean, they've been offered other sites for this mosque.
Yeah, from what I understand, they've been offered other sites. I believe Donald Trump even offered to pay for the building that they're in right now. But I believe, like I said, I believe just the fact that they will not move the mosque as an act of goodwill, like you said, according to the United States Constitution, First Amendment, and I guess the building permits there, they are allowed to do it.
Right.
But I believe in this particular case, that is not necessarily the issue. I think it would be an act of extreme goodwill on their part for them to move it. And as I said, I believe the fact that they will not do something that simple, we are not asking them to never build another mosque. We are asking them just to take this particular mosque and move it away from Ground Zero a few blocks. That is a reasonable demand or a reasonable request. I think definitely it is a very negative sign towards the Muslim community, and a definite sign that this mosque has somehow a greater meaning to them.
Yeah, and I believe that it does have a greater meaning to them. And Dr. Jones, if you would hang on, when we come back here in just seconds, I want to ask you about the protests and the rallies that you have planned for the weekend of September 10th and 11th on the 10th anniversary of 9/11 and how you feel that might upset some people. So stick around. We'll get right back to you here, Dr. Jones. And joining us right now is a very controversial guy. He is the founder and president of Stand Up America Now, preacher, Dr. Terry Jones. And Dr. Jones, thanks for joining us here on Houston's Morning News. We sure appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
You've got protests and rallies planned, Dr. Jones, for the weekend of September 10th and 11th. It's the 10th anniversary, of course, of this tragic event here in our country's history. Do you feel that people are going to push back from that? They're not really going to want to see you protesting, that is something that they feel maybe you should do another time?
Well, I'm sure that will be somewhat of an issue, but at the same time, of course, I think a lot of America will be focused, of course, on New York, on 9/11, on the 10th anniversary. And I think it's definitely a good opportunity or a good time to make people again aware of what is going on around the world, around Europe, around America concerning radical Islam. And that is why we will be on September the 10th. We will be there in front of Times Square. We are there protesting from 3 to 6 p.m. We'll be protesting the radical element of Islam. We'll be protesting what happened there, Sharia. Also, of course, the so-called 9/11 mosque, which we feel is absolutely ridiculous, the stubbornness of the Muslim community, their lack of flexibility, and their lack of actually being sensitive. I think it's a very ridiculous thing that it is even a discussion. I think that they should have been willing to move the mosque as soon as they understood, and
right.
as soon as they saw the will of the people.
And Dr. Jones, I don't disagree with you. I truly don't disagree with you. I know legally they have the right to build that thing there, but it makes a lot more sense if you view what took place there and do the right thing. I agree with you, and I think that's why there's a lot of people that want to continue forward with this, and I think it's to thumb their nose in the faces of folks. But I also understand that there are construction unions that would have to build this thing in New York City, which have refused. Just as recently as over the weekend, I heard some of these unions come out and say, "We're not going to build this mosque. You can go ahead and say it can be built, but we are not going to build it." Have you heard the same thing?
I have definitely heard that. I was in New York here a little while back, and then last November we did a press conference there in front of Ground Zero and in front of the mosque, and that was the talk at that time. And also here just recently we released a press release or statement concerning the building of the mosque. I believe we released that just a week or two ago. And actually in that press release we are encouraging construction companies and construction workers to actually do exactly that.
Yeah, you know what, Dr. Jones, I don't think they're going to build it. I mean, I've been to New York many times. I got lots of friends there. I just don't think you're going to find anyone in New York, in a New York construction union, that's going to build that thing. I really don't.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think so either. Like I said, that's actually what we are encouraging, for people to really stand up and speak out a protest against this.
All right. Dr. Terry Jones, we thank you for your time, sir. We'll certainly keep an eye on this. And as we move closer to that 10th anniversary, this will certainly become one of our top stories.